Obviously, he was the Uber star, and I was just up and coming. So, yeah, it's gonna be a show. But he used that to just, just threw me off,
You're a coward.
And I don't take nothing.
You're a thief, you're a coward. Don't say you're a thief.
Okay.
You're a
Come
thief.
to the office, man.
You had a bunch of artists whose careers never went right with you, dog.
Lately, there's been a lot of talk about Diddy and some pretty serious stuff. People are saying he's been pretty controlling with his artists and even accused of doing some messed up things with his female artists. It's led to a whole bunch of legal messes for him. But somehow he seems to keep getting out of trouble, maybe because he's got a lot of power and money behind him. Still, folks are wondering just how much he's allegedly done wrong to the people he's supposed to be looking out for. Let's dig into it and see what's next. Let's get started with the most recent lawsuit he got grappled in with, which was filed by his ex-girlfriend Cassie. Following Cassie's allegations of A against Diddy, there's been a lot of talk among fans and in industry circles. Rumors are swirling that other women might come forward if Cassie decides to take legal action. It's got people drawing parallels to cases like R. Kelly's, Bill Cosby's, and Harvey Weinstein's, where multiple accusers played a big role in the legal battles. Now the big question is, did Diddy's slick legal move to settle with Cassie help him dodge a bullet? Could it have saved him from facing a huge high-profile case like those involving R. Kelly and Weinstein? In the thick of these allegations is a substantial lawsuit claiming that Diddy used his power and connections to trap Cassie in a violent and controlling relationship.
For on her, through their time together, Cassie claims that Diddy would regularly push and alcohol, make her carry firearms around in her purse while out in public.
Cassie, who was in a relationship with Combs for more than 10 years, came forward with shocking allegations of A, including brutal beatings and R, throughout their time together. The New York Times initially broke this disturbing story, shedding light on a terrifying narrative of control that Cassie allegedly endured in every aspect of her life while with Combs. The lawsuit paints a grim picture of a cycle of A, violence, and trauma that persisted until their relationship ended in 2018. In a statement to the Times, Cassie expressed that after years in silence and darkness, she's finally ready to share her story and speak up for herself and other women facing violence and A in their relationships. However, a spokesperson for Combs, known by his various monikers like Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, Diddy, and Love, vehemently denied these accusations, calling them offensive and outrageous. The representative went on to claim that these allegations emerged after Cassie supposedly demanded $30 million from the mogul.
Cassie, whose real name is Cassandra Ventura, are saying tonight that the two have settled a lawsuit she filed against the mogul yesterday in Manhattan federal court.
The statement further stated, quote, Miss Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies aiming to tarnish Mr. Combs' reputation and seeking a payday. Ventura's legal representative informed the New York Times that she had been offered 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit, an offer she reportedly declined. The lawsuit paints a disturbing picture of the relationship, revealing how Combs allegedly took control over every aspect of Cassie's life, both personally and professionally. The allegations detail years of horrific A, including brutal beatings, forced S encounters, and a constant looming threat of violence.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse, violence, and baby.
According to the lawsuit, Combs aggressively pursued Ventura, who was just 19 years old when she signed with Bad Boy and quickly gained fame. The legal document claims that at a gathering for her 21st birthday, Combs forcibly kissed her, using his power and influence to assert control over her.
She also says that he got physical with her and forced her to be intimate with men of the night.
The lawsuit paints a grim picture of Combs' relationship with Ventura, highlighting how his position as the founder of Bad Boy Records placed her in a vulnerable position. It alleges that Ventura felt pressured to comply with Combs' advances and offers of drugs to avoid risking her career. She was lured into a lavish lifestyle filled with extravagant vacations, designer clothing, and an abundance of drugs, all meticulously designed to keep her compliant and dependent. As their relationship progressed, however, the lawsuit claims that Combs became increasingly controlling and abusive, resorting to physical violence such as punching, kicking, and even stomping on Ventura. Shockingly, she was allegedly coerced into carrying Combs' guns in her purse on multiple occasions. The legal document portrays Combs as prone to uncontrollable rage, alleging that he had compelled Ventura to participate in S acts with male S workers, capturing these encounters through photography and filming. The suit suggests that she was administered D before and during these incidents, enabling her to dissociate during these horrific encounters. Moreover, the lawsuit contends that Ventura was a victim of ST as she was allegedly forced to engage in S-acts in multiple cities against her will. In a particularly disturbing incident in 2015, the lawsuit claims that Ventura suffered a severe beating at the hands of Combs, leaving her with visible injuries like black eyes, a burst and bruised lip, and a welt on her forehead. It's alleged that she was forced to hide away in hotels until her bruises healed, according to Ventura's account.
He began a pattern of control and abuse that included plying her with drugs.
The lawsuit claims that Combs used his companies to tighten his grip on Ventura's life. Despite his so-called loyal network supposedly witnessing the document suggests they were hesitant to step in or halt Combs' alleged behavior. Her volatile and abusive partner, who also happened to own her record label and thus control her future success, had complete control over every aspect of her life, the lawsuit stated. It alleges that Combs used the threat of further violence and his wide-reaching network to keep Ventura trapped in the relationship whenever she tried to leave. In one instance, after Ventura briefly dated Kid Cudi in 2012, Combs allegedly retaliated by wrecking the rapper's car. Kid Cudi confirmed Ventura's story, telling the New York Times, "This is all true."
Diddy threatened to blow up the rapper's Kid Cudi car in 2012 when he and Cassie were briefly linked.
In 2016, James Cruz, the president of Bad Boy Management, allegedly informed Ventura that her single would not be released unless she complied with answering phone calls as detailed in the lawsuit. By 2018, Ventura was determined to end the relationship. Following a dinner where she anticipated discussing the matter, Combs allegedly forced himself into her home and AR'd her, according to the lawsuit. Subsequently, she left the home, which he had financed, returned the car he had purchased for her, and severed all ties with him. The lawsuit highlights the extensive harms and trauma endured by Ventura, necessitating intensive medical and psychological care. In pursuit of justice, the legal document states, quote, "Miss Ventura therefore seeks justice for the decade of her life that Mr. Combs took away from her with threats of violence, excessive use of D, physical and psychological A, and S, slavery." In a recent interview, Gene Deal has revealed that Diddy may like something else. According to him, Cassie claimed that Diddy had coerced her into scouring the internet for male prostitutes, specifically those endowed with, quote, BBCs for their intimate encounters. The salacious details hinted at a darker side of the music mogul, shrouded in secrecy and hidden desires.
In this lawsuit that, Diddy, he enjoyed watching her get smashed by BBCs. So, what you think about that? Do you think she was the only one getting banged by him?
Speculation filled the air as Gene probed deeper, suggesting that perhaps Cassie wasn't the sole participant in these illicit activities. The question lingers, was Diddy a man of immense influence and power, also engaging in these encounters with male
This man had this woman search for online just for them to have with her?
The ambiguity of masquerade, masks worn during these escapades, added an extra layer of mystery, making it challenging for Cassie to identify those involved. Gene revealed that he used to wear masks so that no one can know him or accuse him, and ultimately he can enjoy the acts without any disturbance.
Cassie, who searched for the big black, and she was searching for the big black, not only for herself, but for somebody else who we all know that was in the room with her.
The conversation took a turn towards the alleged censorship and editing of the lawsuit's content before reaching the public eye. Gene has hinted at a more extensive narrative suggesting that certain elements had been carefully omitted, leaving the fans in suspense about the undisclosed portions of the scandal. Turns out Gene was right. Evidence and court hearings suggest that she did not make it to justice. Rather, it was reported that Diddy has used his influence and power to pressurize Cassie to settle the suit. He hired one of the most influential lawyers in the US and escaped from getting jailed. This is just one incident in which reportedly he used his power to escape the situation. Another incident also depicts the same thing. In the constantly evolving storyline surrounding the mysterious Tupac M case, a new and unexpected development has surfaced. A former detective with deep involvement in the investigations into the deaths of Tupac and Biggie has put forth a theory that links these tragic incidents. This theory revolves around a shared element: Diddy. The question that arises is why Diddy might have had a motive to harm both of them. The motive itself is shocking and disturbing.
Let's set him up at the police. Let's here. That makes so much sense. Yeah. Bring him into an interview room at the police department.
The belief that Diddy allegedly had a role in the deaths of Tupac and Biggie revolves around his supposed obsession with acquiring a death row chain, a symbol with significant meaning in gang culture. It's said that Diddy treated this chain like a prized possession, even offering rewards to retrieve them for bad boy associates. Unfortunately, this pursuit is thought to have contributed to the tragic deaths of both Tupac and Biggie, showcasing the grim consequences of Diddy's fixation. Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace remain iconic figures in hip-hop history. Despite nearly 3 decades passing since their untimely deaths, Tupac in September '96 in Las Vegas and Biggie in March '97 in LA, their legacies continue to resonate deeply with fans, and their absence is still keenly felt in the hip-hop community.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody gonna always be wanting to point the finger or look at my past and be like, well, okay, this is his MO right here. This is what he used to do.
Shakur's tragic demise had far-reaching repercussions that extended well beyond the confines of Nevada, and it cast a somber foreshadowing over Wallace's own death. The lingering question that remains is when, or indeed if, an arrest will ever be made in connection to the loss of Wallace. The case of these two influential rappers who started as friends and eventually turned into rivals have always been closely interconnected with the cultural tapestry. This connection arises from their shared era and the intricate web of events and contexts that surrounded their lives and tragic ends. Quote, "It was almost like the death of Tupac was the first movie and then Biggie was the sequel," P. Frank Williams, who produced the 2017 television special Who Shot Biggie and Tupac, told CNN. The two biggest deaths in the history of hip-hop. The infamous East Coast versus West Coast rap feud of the 90s ensnared the pair. It began when Shakur, representing the West Coast, suspected Wallace, hailing from Brooklyn's East Coast scene, of involvement in the 1994 shooting that left Shakur wounded with 5 gunshots in a Manhattan studio. Despite Wallace's consistent denial of involvement and lack of formal charges against him, tensions persisted. Tragically, both artists met their untimely demise in separate drive-by shootings, each occurring during moments of celebration, further deepening the sadness within their intricate stories.
The Tupac article had me pissed off, you know what I'm saying? Because first of all, he dissed my man, said my man turned his back on him, and I know for a fact that didn't happen.
A notable link emerges in the investigations into their deaths. Greg Kading, a former detective from the Los Angeles Police Department, interviewed Davis in '09, deeming him a person of interest in the Wallace M. inquiry. Davis drew attention due to his attendance at a party in Los Angeles' Peterson Automotive Museum, which Wallace departed just before his tragic demise in a fatal shooting. Additionally, in a transcript of a recent Clark County grand jury session conducted just last month, retired Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Detective Clifford Mogg disclosed that investigators had put forward a theory suggesting a possible link between Shakur's M and Wallace's death. While Mogg refrained from offering explicit details about the theory, he did testify that Davis was not regarded as a participant in these tragic incidents.
He leaned over on the window, we rolled down the window, popped. They would drove on my side, I would pop them. You know what I'm saying? But they was on the other side.
Furthermore, there have been reports indicating a possible connection between Diddy and Tupac's M. This spotlight on the matter intensified when Biggie's M case was reopened in '06 at the request of his mother. In the course of this re-examination, LAPD Detective Greg Kading uncovered new information that seemed to hint at a potential link between Diddy and the tragic assassination of Tupac.
And he was known as the multi-law enforcement task force that investigated the of rap stars Tupac and Biggie. That's the Wikipedia story about him, right? So I said, so who was really behind this? So
the pivotal turn of events occurred when Valletta Wallace, the mother of Biggie Smalls, initiated a lawsuit against the LAPD seeking approximately $500 million in damages. She cited the well-known conspiracy theory alleging that the police had hidden the truth about her son's death. This legal action prompted the reopening of the case in '06, with LAPD Detective Greg Kading assigned to lead the investigation. As Kading delved into the case, he unexpectedly uncovered a wealth of additional information, which involved Diddy's alleged involvement in both M's.
Like if you've seen the movie American Gangster and they got these pictures, is this the guy at the top? Is this the guy? So I have 50 different pictures with magnets, and he's putting these things up on, if you go to the video, you'll see how I set it up.
By '99, Diddy had already established himself as a bona fide rapper, having released his second solo album that year under his label Bad Boy Entertainment, as reported by AllMusic. However, headlines weren't solely focused on his musical endeavors. Diddy also found himself in the spotlight for less favorable reasons, facing felony A charges for an altercation with Interscope executive Steve Stout, as reported by MTV News. Despite their seemingly disparate backgrounds, Lopez as the charming Latin pop star and Diddy as the bad boy rapper, the two embarked on a romantic relationship in '99. While their love for each other was palpable, a series of scandals and behind-the-scenes chaos eventually strained their relationship relationship and one of the most popular involved Shyne.
Lopez were caught fleeing the nightclub shooting with a stolen gun in the car. Charges have been dropped against Lopez, but Combs, his bodyguard, and the driver are all charged.
Shyne's experience with Bad Boy Records was among the most trying ever. After a gathering in New York City in late December '99 evolved into a nightclub shooting that left 3 people gravely injured, Sean Combs, Jennifer Lopez, and Shyne found themselves in a precarious situation.
If I'm telling you that she's lying, and you saying, hey, well, she helping me, but I'm facing 25 years.
There are conflicting accounts of what took place. The first is that a bunch of men walked up to Diddy in the club's VIP area and threw a bag of cash at the Bad Boy CEO as a joke. The second is that he accidentally pushed one of the club goers holding a bottle of champagne out of his hands as they were leaving the club, and it was all over the media overnight.
And that, because you got people that ain't going home ever. So their life is over. That's why I say buried alive. And when you gotta do it, they got life, he don't care.
Whatever the reason, all the dirt was transferred to Shyne. He pulled out a gun and shot in the air, causing everyone to leave the club and presumably injuring 3 people.
When I hit the kid that tried to shoot me, that's when the security from the club, when he, tried to grab me, and that's when the ratchet went off into the air.
And ultimately, the attempted M accusation against Shyne was dropped, but he was found guilty of A in possession of a firearm and given a 10-year prison sentence, which was no less than torture to Shyne.
So for a human being to be animalized for 10 years, there's no quick fix to that.
At this moment, though, a number of witnesses claim that Diddy produced a firearm, a claim that he has categorically rejected.
I do not own a gun, nor did I possess a gun that night.
But some witnesses suggest that Diddy allegedly bribed his driver with $50,000 to take the charges of the gun on his behalf. Shyne explained that he was carrying a firearm at the time of the event because he had been shot a month prior, as he explained in a radio interview. The rapper said that having a gun on him in the club prevented a tragic ending to the night, but still Shyne's relationship with Diddy was ruined.
There's no relationship there to have a beef, right?
Exactly, he doesn't exist to me, and
Nothing that the man meant to do. He was acting in self-defense. He didn't deserve 10 years.
And in the end, it was Shyne who served almost 9 years for A, possession of a weapon, and reckless endangerment, and claiming that he sold the comb to save himself. But the tea was spilled some days later by his bodyguard Gene Deal.
Those people were testifying, they were brought to Puff first, saying that what they saw against Shyne, what they saw Shyne do.
Moreover, according to some sources, Diddy also has his name for his wife's death, Kim Porter. The story being told about how Kim Porter allegedly passed away has now taken a very disturbing turn. Then Kim's closest friend, Kimora Lee, suggested that the investigation into her BFF's unsolved death be reopened. Kimora Lee Simmons made it clear that she cannot return to her life with the truth concealed. That suggests she is privy to some dubious information about Kim's alleged M.
It was always between those two, physically. But Kim got tired of it and she wasn't taking him. If he put his hands on her, she was going at him.
Kimora Lee rushed to Kim's house as soon as she heard the news, and the photos are proof that she was utterly devastated. The sight of her friend's lifeless body was so upsetting for her that she couldn't stop wondering what could have possibly happened to Kim because there were literally no scenes of her being sick. But due to some recent revelations, it seems that Kim's death because of pneumonia is some baloney, while the fact that the deputy coroner, Ed Winter, who was in charge of the investigation, passed away literally only a few weeks ago is the first thing that is making people suspicious about the case.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide and they found toxins in her body.
This is the same coroner who discovered a potentially dangerous poison when he was investigating the circumstances behind Kim Porter's death. The coroner at the time stated that the circumstances surrounding Kim's death required further investigation, but he was later replaced by another coroner, and it took that new coroner a huge amount of time to determine that the cause of Kim's death was pneumonia. This is where the story got shady because the new coroner never spoke about the toxins found in Kim's body. Was he hired by someone? And according to some reports in the last days, Kim and Diddy were not on good terms. So this is how reports have circulated to Diddy's alleged involvement in such dark acts. One person on the internet wrote, "About time somebody took a serious look at Sean Combs' bad, illegal, and morally disgusting behavior. Just because somebody has a pile of money does not excuse them from US law." Another one added, "These allegations and horror stories about Diddy have been around since the 90s, but nobody was listening. He H men too." One more person wrote, quote, "I believe he absolutely did everything he's been accused of. With all the other things he's done with no consequences, he thinks he's above the law. After doing all these alleged crimes, he still has not been caught by the law. Will he keep escaping like this by using his power? Only time will tell."